Okay, hello everybody. So this is coaching call number 3 of our 4 calls for the Breakthrough Course Building System and the coach-led version. So let's kind of do a recap of what we've covered, and I thought the best way to do that would be for me to go to the site that you guys have been logging into. So I'll share my screen here. And so here's the Breakthrough site. It starts with the welcome page. Although right now it's, so, this is the basic stuff. So if I go to the section where the course material begins, it starts with the foundation. So the first call, we went over the site itself, the perfect starter kit site. We took a tour of the site, how we built the login page, the dashboard, the course pages, how we built the menus. And there's no magic here. It's kind of demystifying what Memberium does. And I think once you understand these foundational parts of the site, there's no magic here. I do some logins, I do some logouts, we add tags, and I see how we can get the site to open up based on which tags people have in Infusionsoft. Now, the Infusionsoft campaigns outline the 2 major campaigns that we use when we create membership sites. We go in here, we give you an idea of how we do the tagging standards, because I don't want to be explaining that as I go. So I just kind of give that to you up front. There's the give and remove access, part 1 and part 2. I kind of give my take on messages that get sent when people first get their membership levels. And it's interesting, I'm learning to play. Well, I've always played golf, but I'm actually learning to play it right. And so I signed up for a course that my buddy recommended to me. And my buddy pushes me at a site. It's called Scratch Golf Academy, and it's built Memberium and Infusionsoft. So not only am I taking the course, but now I'm also reverse engineering it and thinking about it. And they did it very similar to the way I recommend it. They send you a receipt when you make the purchase. They send you their credentials, and they send you a welcome message that kind of gives, what I call the fluffy introduction one. And I was impressed. They sent me a text on my phone, because I signed up for it yesterday. They sent me a text, and the text is from like a tech address that says, hey, we're calling for Adam's class. Sometimes the first emails get stuck in your spam folder. We just wanted to make sure you got it. Let me know if you have any issues, which I just thought was just an interesting touch to that initial setup, because sometimes these emails, when you do send them out to a new client, might get stuck in their spam folder because you haven't trained your email system to accept emails from that address. So I thought it was a nice touch, because no one's going to miss the text. No one's going to get annoyed by that text because it's part of a program you purchased. So that's something else to consider. And then finally, we have the purchase products campaign. So once we get the messages set up, we use a purchase products campaign that's higher up in the, I like to say the food chain. That one takes care of responding to the purchase. Also for an opt-in, if you're using an opt-in to give people access. And it relies on the give and remove access campaign to do its job, so that it can stay pretty simple and clean, which is something, even if you're hiring a virtual assistant, they don't have to get into kind of the weed, so to say. So that's what we covered so far. Last week, we did have some extra time, so I covered what I call valuable enhancements. Now, I'm still recording some of these videos, but I recorded adding a survey on first login as an extra lesson here. So this covers something. This is what I covered last time in addition to the campaigns. I am going to be recording 2, offering a free trial with a credit card, offering free trials without a credit card. Those aren't going to be, it's not like it's like, whoa, this guy just reinvented the earth or anything. But they're just handy routines. And when you do it with a credit card and without a credit card, there's actually 2 different ways to go about it. And I thought that'd be a good thing for you to have the day you need it. I'm not going to be covering this in the course, but tracing what members are doing is a really good thing. And I've come up with a way of tracing people's activities using Infusionsoft Notes and the Notes and Tasks activity reports, so that you can really tell what people are doing, how many people are logging in, are they visiting the pages as you expect them to, are they not visiting those pages, so that you know, you get visibility to what's going on. Because it's like, great, I think we sold a bunch of stuff. That's pretty concrete. You know, you won't make any mistakes of that because you either got paid or you didn't. But then if people aren't logging in, or if they're logging in and not visiting the pages you expect them to visit, what actions can you take to fix that? Because, you know, that might be a precursor to some churn with people leaving your course after they started it. These are some fancier dashboards. So we built a site, David Molnar, which in addition to being really good function, has some great photography because it's a photography teaching class. But they've got the concept of, it's called presets, or these things that photographers use to modify the way a picture looks. But they have the preset of the month club that you buy with credits. So it shows how we've created a dashboard based on a credit system. You get a free credit a month, but then you can buy credits if you want. And then based on that, you can download things. And it's really, it kind of shows you how you could build your dashboard so that it kind of allows you to add credits, to have it dynamically change when people purchase using the credits. So just something, you know, it's a little bit more of an advanced topic. I'm not going to be covering it in the coaching calls, but it's probably something you ought to look at because there's some fancy stuff in there. Now, next week, we're going to cover umbrella accounts. You may not need umbrella accounts, but the day you need them, they're not difficult, but if you don't have a guide, what I find is you're sitting there going through a lot of documentation and you're kind of having to think through how it works. Memberium's documentation isn't bad, but this one is, you know, these 3 lessons, which I've got the videos for, but I haven't updated the section yet. So these videos are the right ones. This shows you exactly how to configure it, what shortcodes to use. This one shows you how to set up a parent account to view into the child accounts and understand how far along they are. We get that request a lot because it might be a certification program and you have like an administrator that's overseeing the program. And if people are saying, yeah, I got it, but they don't finish it, there's someone higher up that wants to police that. So this gives you the ability to do that. So we will cover these next week, and we'll show you a couple of examples of how we've built these. Once you see those, it's almost like use the template that I'm going to give you, and then, you know, you can add a lot of those functions to your site. I'm not going to cover the social learner for BuddyBoss. It's actually a really good, it's not just a theme, it's a theme plus a set of plugins for messaging, for building like a Facebook group within your site. It's not really Facebook, but it's Facebook-like. Very sophisticated, and I show a good number of videos that show you how we've organized sites using it. It doesn't go in deeply into the implementation, but I think it's something that if someone wants to build a community within a Memberium site, it's a really good example. And then there's some gamification features. I'm going to point at a few of those in Learn Dash now, but I'll make a point of kind of highlighting some of them in the final class. But I wanted to go through here because I wasn't sure if you guys had explored here and know what's in here. Okay. So let's get into the Learn Dash. So here's how I'm going to go about this. And I figured showing you the videos would give you, it's kind of like the outline. So I want to show you what Learn Dash does independent of Memberium. And then I want to show you what Memberium adds to that, because I think that way you understand what it does, how it works when it doesn't have Memberium, because it is a standalone system if you want it to be. And then we'll finish off by looking at the other features that LearnDash provides you. Because one of the things about LearnDash is it provides a ton of functions, which then ends up being its weakness because you're going, which one of these do I pick? So, its strength is it does a lot. Its weakness is it does a lot, so it's harder to use. So let's get going here. So I'm going to go to the Perfect Starter Kit site. I'm logged in as the administrator. And the first thing so let me backtrack a little bit. So we started building membership sites with Infusion WP in 2014. This is before Memberium had been birthed. So when we were building them, there was no LearnDash. So if we wanted to build a course, we would have to self-build it. And so I've given you a really good example of how we would have gone about that in this course number 3, which is the one we built without LearnDash. So let's think about what a course needs to have. Typically, it has kind of an overview section, which is kind of like chapter 1. You have lessons, and when you get into like a LearnDash space, you can add quizzes and things. LearnDash also allows you to build topics. So, before I get into that, so think about what you need for a course. You need structure. Now, WordPress, because it's, got pages, can be set up to organize pages so that they behave like a course. So I've got 3 pages here, and then I've created a sidebar with a menu, and it's really a WordPress menu. And then the menu, if you had a 3rd lesson, you'd add it to the lesson menu, and then you'd make sure that the lesson 3 page has the sidebar to go with it. It's not rocket science, but it's a little bit of work. And if you're really new at using WordPress, that can kind of get a little kludgy. You might struggle with it, right? So LearnDash provides you definitely with the structure, and I'll show you that in a moment. And not only that, this is only a 2-layer setup. So this is course with lessons. LearnDash allows you to do course, lessons, and topics. So think of it as like an outline or like a book where you have the book, chapter, and subchapters. So you can get really deep. And as a matter of fact, you can get kind of complicated to the point where it makes it hard to travel through the course. But some, if you have like a year-long course and people are taking a lesson a month, and you need 5 or 6 topics each month, the lesson with sections called topics would kind of fit that really well. Now, just so you know, if you don't like the words course, lesson, and topics, you can rename those to whatever you want. So, you really could name them books, courses, books, chapters, and subchapters. A lot of people like courses, modules. So those are fully renameable in the LearnDash settings tab, but LearnDash gives you structure. And so I'm going to go into the course number 1. So I'll go back to the dashboard, and I'll go here into course number 1. You'll see that up here in the, the bar here, I can go right and edit the course. And then this top bar here, widget, gives you the full structure of the course. So if I had 10 lessons, I could see them right here. This quiz underneath lesson 3 and at the same level as the quiz tells me that it's a quiz that belongs to the course as opposed to a quiz that belongs to a lesson. And I could have a quiz associated with each lesson. I can have a quiz associated with any topic underneath a lesson. So, you can go as advanced, as you'd like to be. And, we'll take a quick look at the quizzes, but quizzes can have as many questions as you like. They can be multiple choice. They can be essay questions, true or false. You can set it up so that an administrator has the ability to grade it so that the grade comes later. And with add-ons, there's a company called Uncanny Owl, and there's others that have an aftermarket for LearnDash add-ons. So like out of the box, LearnDash allows you to have an administrator that can go in and serve as that instructor grader person. But with some of those enhancements, you can come up and say, this person is allowed to administer this course and the students in it. So it can be done so that you have a lot of, course within an organization, like within a school sort of setup, very nicely. And you can grade an exam, a quiz, you can send back feedback, things like that. You can set it up so that the instructor has notifications, so that when something is ready to be graded, they get notified. So there's some really advanced features you can go with it, which is one of the reasons we really like LearnDash, because we can start off with something very simple, but then as you have more advanced requirements, you can upgrade to those. So let's look here. So when I have a course, I have, in this case, 3 lessons, but I think what I did is before the class, I deleted one because I wanted to use it as an example. So I'm going to go here to the Lessons tab. And, okay, I guess I didn't totally delete it. So I'm just going to, I'm going to trash this one so we can start all over again with that. So I'm going to really delete it permanently. And it doesn't want to go away. So I'm going to add a lesson. Now, I'll call this one conveniently lesson 3. And I purposely deleted from the trash because in WordPress, if you have something in the trash with the URL, you can't use that URL again until you delete it permanently. So I'm creating this lesson. I'm going to go down farther here, and I'm going to associate it with the course. And just because I know that I need to do this, I'm going to assign the course 1 sidebar to it. And the theme, the way it's set up, if you allow comments, it'll give you that comment box, which we don't want in this course. So all I did was set up a lesson, and now on my other login, so here I'm logged in as a student, or I will log in as a student. So this person is going to see that lesson immediately. And the nice thing about it is all I need to do is add that page associated with the course, and the sidebar gets updated automatically, and the thing at the bottom gets updated automatically. If the person had lesson 1 and lesson 2, and then I added lesson 3 and lesson 4, the progress indicator isn't going to move past where it was before, but it'll take over right where it was, and the progress bar will display. Like right here, I've chosen not to have it display the progress bar up here, but I could. It'll take care of the proportions. So if I had 2 lessons and I was completed 100%, and then I add another, 8 lessons, now it would only be 20%, and the progress indicator would adjust. So it's pretty nice in that you can pick how the progress bar is going to show. LearnDash also enables you to add badges as progress indicators. So let's say you have a 10 lesson course and you want to give maybe 4 badges, 1 for getting past level number 3, 5, 7, and 10. You could create little iconic badges so that instead of just a progress bar, you can put some icons. The nice thing about that is if you then have a leaderboard, which by the way, LearnDash allows you to create leaderboards, people can see, hey, this person here is like a big dog. They've been around a while. They have more experience. So, as you start building a community like that, it's nice to add things that, kind of put a feather in someone's cap. That's nice for them, but it also makes them people that other people might admire, seek out, want to talk to. So Badges, all you have to do is install Badge OS, which is a free open source plugin, and LearnDash will cooperate with it. So you can say, hey, people will earn a badge when they complete this lesson or this topic. So it's really, really nice feature. So the one thing that LearnDash does really well is give you structure. And I think I've kind of shown that. The other thing is it gives you learning sort of functions that you wouldn't have in my homegrown version. I mean, we didn't have quizzes before, and setting up quizzes, especially quizzes integrated with Infusionsoft, was very difficult to do. You know, you have to hand code those. It allows you to come up, create progress indicators with no problem. And as I'll show you a little bit after we kind of go over the integration with Memberium, you have the ability to delay people rushing through a course. So you can set it up so that I can't just go right to lesson 9 and see it. I can have, look, you have to see lesson 1 first, lesson 2, lesson 3 in order to keep people from blasting through a course quickly if that's not a good thing. Okay, you can also open it up maybe by sections, like you can see all of the first half of the course and then only let them go that far, and then open it up only when they've finished a course at the halfway point, a quiz. So a lot of different features that make learning better, keep people engaged, keep them motivated to keep going. I did attend a presentation a long time ago by a guy named Mark Weiss. He used to work for Digital Marketer. He's in the Infusionsoft Memberium community. He's working for Digital Marketer, and they found initially Digital Marketer would teach their courses as just, hey, take this course and you'll learn about SEO, paid search, all the different topics. And they were finding that people weren't finishing them. Matter of fact, a lot of people weren't finishing them. And by converting their program to a certification, it really helped them up the completion rates. It's not like they hit 100%, but people are now aiming at getting certified, not just at learning the information. I've got 2 of the Digital Marketer certifications, and I remember it was like a 20 video program, on, and this was on, I can't remember what topic was on, something related to online marketing. And I remember getting to like course, like I had 2 more videos to go, and it's kind of like, I've learned everything I'm going to learn from this course. And that was for real, because I kind of knew the topics. I go, you know what? I'm going to finish these next 2 only so that I can get the certificate, and then I can put the badge on my site. And when you're a digital marketer, that's kind of enough clout to have motivated me. So, don't underestimate some people being competitive, people wanting to get some token acknowledgement like a badge or a certificate as a way to keep people moving through the course. Don't underestimate the power of community in pushing people through a course. Doing it with like something like the social learner for LearnDash means bringing a community into your environment, which is no easy task. But using a Facebook group aligned with the course makes a big difference. People can ask questions. Sometimes you'll find that the relationships that people build with other students in the course, especially if you have a subscription-based program, having the relationships with the other people and potentially losing it by jumping out of the membership keeps them in. Because, maybe they've learned as much as they think they're going to learn from you, but they don't want to lose touch with the conversation in the group, with the other people, the ability to ask for advice, things like that. So community can be a really powerful thing. You may not be able to fully charge for it at some point. So what I've seen a lot of people do, in the LearnDash community is, okay, your course, you're paying X a month for the next 12 months. And then that's the end of that membership. Hey, if you want to stay and have access to the materials and to the community, here's a reduced price ongoing or like an alumni membership. So it's something for you to consider because you can keep people around longer, even if it's not at the top tier price. We're in the process of bidding on a site that, so, you know, when you think about communities and how difficult they are to build, they're recruiting people overseas into jobs into the US. And so they're educating people on the certification, the paperwork process, all that stuff. And so because of what it takes to get into the US, you know, with visas and stuff, some of these people are in their system for like 18 months. It sometimes could even be longer, but you know, minimum 14 months, 18 months. They're all people that are going through this process. And they're going to be using a membership site to educate these people, to provide them with, you know, additional things they ought to be doing. And the community is key for them because they want the people that either got across to the US in a job, or the people that are farther along and now the lawyers are saying, hey, next month we're going to be getting you your papers. They want those people sticking around to keep the people at the beginning of the queue motivated. And it's easy to keep them in the site because they're in the process, they're invested. But the dynamic between the members is actually an important part of the process. So, you know, and LearnDash with something like the social learner for LearnDash or a Facebook group would be a good option for that. Okay. So let's jump into, so we've gone over the structure of LearnDash. Let's look at what Memberium now does. So if I go back into a course over here, so I'll go here, LearnDash courses. Keep in mind that LearnDash without Memberium is a very viable product. LearnDash has add-ons to allow people to make payments with PayPal, Stripe, so that I can buy the course using LearnDash provided features. So it's got like, not really a shopping cart, but more like an order form that people can use. So that being there, and I clicked on courses, it didn't go. We've got to, LearnDash has the concept of enrolling students, which is not a term that you use in Memberium. But, you know, in a course, you enroll people in a course. And typically with LearnDash, without Memberium, what's the course price type? Well, it's an open enrollment. It could be closed, meaning the course is open to students who've already paid, but closed to new members or new students. It could be a free course, in which case they would probably opt in somehow. There's a buy now and a recurring. So this is buy once. This is, where it's a subscription that they're being charged over and over again. Now, when we're setting things up with Memberium, we want to set it up to open. Now, what we're doing when we add Memberium to the site, you'll see all the stuff on the site. So LearnDash gives us this thing here. This is WordPress. This is WordPress. Here's the typical, or the standard Memberium sidebar widget. If I go down a little bit farther, you see that there's a LearnDash Memberium integration widget. In order to synchronize someone buying a course and getting access to Memberium with the LearnDash enrollment, there's this box here. Now I can type in here, the first couple characters of an Infusionsoft tag. So I'll say starter, and I could do level 2 or level 3. So this is peering into Infusionsoft and saying what tag will allow me to enroll in this course. And so what you want to do is have that be the tag that you use to give them access in Memberium. So we still have to protect the course because otherwise people will get there. But if you don't enroll them, then LearnDash is going to be, hold on a second, you're not enrolled. So this provides that enrollment feature, which they would have gotten if they had LearnDash for buying it. So this is kind of like the first thing. You definitely want to do this one. Now, this ends up giving you a lot of different functions. So courses, like you don't have this enrollment box for lessons. Only the course has this because you're not going to enroll in a lesson. But you can come up and have, on completion of this section, execute the following. This here would be the string that you add to an Infusionsoft API goal in a campaign builder. This here would correspond to a tag goal. And it doesn't have to be a tag goal, but typically that's how you do it. It's like when people finish this course, start this sequence over in Infusionsoft. And that could be an attaboy kind of email. It could be just a completion tag, and you set a timer over in Infusionsoft that says if the person doesn't complete the course by this day, then you fire off a, hey, is everything okay email. So you basically put a wait, and if the course doesn't complete before that date, then you send them a, or maybe you send a task to customer service to, give them a phone call and find out, hey, is everything okay? Is there something we can do to help you out? Depending on how manually involved you want to be, but it could be completely automated. If you're using action sets, you can just execute an action set. This is, usually called by IDs. Oh no, look, it's using the names of the action sets. I haven't used action sets for this in a long time. I prefer to use campaigns. And then the other thing you can do is when they do hit that point, you can redirect them somewhere. So this could be a sales page. It could be a certificate page. It could be anything. So you have a lot of options to choose from when the course is completed. Now, just like the course has this option, I can go to a lesson, and then the lesson here, each one of these has, this box. This one just doesn't have the top one. But when it's updating, it scrolls. So you have the API goals that you can use. You can use a tag and the action sets. You don't have the other one there. But then for quizzes is where you have some options. So you can do the tag thing, but then if the student fails this test, and you define in the quiz what the passing grade is, and it's refreshing here. So if percentage passing is 80, if they get a 79, you can execute tag goals as well, either a tag or an API goal. So for people that are failing, you can send them an email. Maybe you say, hey, look, after you fail a couple times, we're not going to let you get certified, because you're just not cut out for this or something. So when you add Memberium to a WordPress site that has LearnDash, you open up a lot of integration between LearnDash and Infusionsoft through this sidebar widget. Okay, any questions on this? Good, so Scott, you're good, clearly. Okay, so the last thing I want to cover with you is let's go over some of the LearnDash features that are built into courses. And there's a little bit of overlap with Memberium here, so I want to point those out to you. So let me go back to courses. And I'll go back to the course one, over the course one. And I'll wait for this little thing to stop so that the screen doesn't start going up and down again. Because I'm on Zoom, it's a little slower than it would be. Okay, so I already talked about the open and how that coordinates here with the enrollment tag from Memberium. If you are using, this here will fill up with IDs, and they're the IDs in WordPress for those people. So this is part of how LearnDash keeps track of things if you're using it to keep people in and out of the course. So there's some basic protection that is built into LearnDash Solo. This allows you to sort the lessons underneath the course. So up here, this shows you the sorting. Now, because I've named mine Lesson 1, Lesson 2, Lesson 3, sorting by title makes sense. But I could sort them based on the post order if I like. And sometimes, that's just fine. And then you just use the dates to kind of order the lessons. And that's how you have them show up in your menus. So whatever order is here is the order that you'll see in the sidebar here and in this bottom part. So I know the first time I use this, it's like, how do I get these stupid things to get in the right order? The final way to do that, and now I have to get to the right page, is it does give you a menu order, in which case you're using the post attribute. So every lesson has one of these. And if you type in menu order, whatever number you put in here forces the order on each of the lessons. And you can do the same with topics, by the way. So this one here is how do you sort these? And then do you want to sort them up or down? Now, this is an option that if you've got courses like, let's say in a university environment, you can't take English 102 until you take English 101. You can't take differential equations calculus until you have Calc 1 and Calc 2. So this enables you to open up a list of other courses in the system and then tie them together. And it does give you the option of either saying student must complete one of these two, or you have to complete all of them before we will allow you to sign, to get into this course. This is tied in more to LearnDash by itself, because you could do this with Memberium just by not allowing people to fill out the order forms or to see the order forms. But by itself, you can do some of this prerequisite work in LearnDash. So here's where there's overlap between the two tools. So course points. You can associate points with a given course. This is really handy when it comes to building leaderboards. So if people can earn points at the end of a course, and let's say, you've got a program that takes 10 courses, you can assign points to each one. Maybe like the intro is only 1 point, but then, the part 2 that takes 2 months versus a couple weeks to do is 4 points. And then you allow people to score points so you can, and then you can set up a leaderboard based on that. So this is kind of an interesting idea to consider. And then this, that field right there is the one that, you manipulate there with the number of points you want to award for each of these. Now, I've purposely disabled lesson progression. But let me show you what happens when I turn it on. So our test user here, Mo, has access to LearnDash Course 1, and they've made a little bit of progress on it. You can see that this lesson here is green. So they're allowed to go to lesson 2, and you'll see that, yeah, they're allowed to go. So if I go to lesson 1, you'll see that they have a next lesson link, because if they finish lesson 1, they're allowed to go to lesson 2. Now, when I get to lesson 2, you'll notice there is no next lesson here. You can only go backwards. Okay, and that's because they're not allowed to do that. So if I try to go to lesson 3, it knocks me out of here. Now you can add a message to here. I haven't. So what the progression does is it holds people back from going forward. So that would be a built-in feature in LearnDash. Now, keep in mind, this is not really a protection. And let me see, because maybe I am in. I must have marked it complete before for that user. Okay, in this case, they've already gotten here. I've got to figure out why this lesson progress bar is, because I haven't finished the topic. So you see, there's a mark complete. So by default, LearnDash will always give you the mark complete, and the mark complete is what the person clicks on to tell you they've done it. So this is not a, let me force you to follow my rules. This is so that the person, if it's a pretty long course and there's like 20 lessons, and let's say someone goes through lesson 1, lesson 2, and then they leave, they go on vacation, they come back in a couple of weeks, they're not going to remember where they were. So the mark complete is more like a bookmark that they can use to remember where they left off. So in this case, it's more of like a convenience for the progress bar, but it can also be enforced with a quiz. If I have a quiz associated with a lesson, it would show up like this topic does here underneath it. And in that case, I cannot move to lesson 3 until that quiz gets passed. So, you know, here's another area where we do have overlap with Memberium, because here I am in course number 1, but let me go to lesson 2, for example. So, and I'll wait for this thing to finish. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so because LearnDash allows me to apply tags when someone reaches the end of something, I can coordinate the applying of that tag with the protection that I use here, or maybe with required tag IDs. So I can protect someone with, you know, a membership level, but I can also say, even if they have this membership level, if they don't have a tag that I specify here, don't let them in. And then you redirect them to a page that says, hey, you don't have access to this, finish the lesson before me. So you can coordinate this either in Infusionsoft with the Memberium tags coordinating all this, or you can use the lesson progression button that I showed you on the course page. I will warn you, be careful in how much, like I've had customers that said, no, we want it to be really, really strict. And the guy even recorded a video that they display when people click on a page that they're not allowed to go with. And the record, you know, the recording says, hey, you're trying to access content that's not available. In order for you to learn better, we want to make sure you don't go too fast, make sure you review the past lesson. They were getting a ton of customer service calls with people saying, hey, I'm trying to access lesson 5 and it won't open up for me. And then you'd go into it and it's that they hadn't passed the quiz that was right before it. So be careful about being overly strict because it can cause customer service issues. You know, again, people don't always read, they don't always watch a video. So don't assume that people are going to follow directions. But again, you can either use the LearnDash feature for that, or you can use Memberium. And with Memberium, then you can protect pages and then take action based on which tags people have, which tags they don't have. And again, sky's the limit on how complicated you can make that be, as well as you can use this here to do like auto drip features to open up the course a week at a time, or, you know, based on some sort of timing that you want to happen. So let me go back to the course page. And again, this may go back and forth on me. So that's the disable lesson. So they actually allow you to only have a course open for a certain amount of time, or a lesson. So you can come up and say, hey, they paid for it, but they're only allowed in for 60 days, and then have this kick them out. So that's an option. You can also do that with a campaign by by adding an access tag or removing an access tag. This one, I've never really used this feature before, but I guess you could delete a course and their quiz data after this expires. And then you can hide the course content table, which is the one at the bottom of the overview page. And finally, the certificates that you can set up in here in LearnDash are actually pretty nice. They give you a couple of sample certificates, but if you get yourself a graphic artist, you can make some really pretty ones. and then you can put the person's name on it so that they can, you know, print it out, hang it on a wall, you know, whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to get, you know, create a fancy certificate. We have a group that they don't consider it a certification. So what they offer is a certificate of participation, because they didn't want people to think it was really, I mean, honestly, it wasn't a certification, but they wanted to give people something that, you know, was kind of like a reminder that they passed this thing. So again, LearnDash has a lot of features. Because of my bias towards Infusionsoft and Memberium, I try to put as much into Memberium as possible and not into LearnDash. That's just my bias. But the one thing to keep in mind, if you're ever moving a site or moving site content from one site to another, the Memberium stuff comes with you because the data is stored in Infusionsoft. If you move, like let's say I'm using like the progress indicators heavily, and there really isn't, I mean, the progress indicators in LearnDash are really good to use. But if you ever have to export that content, move it into a new site, and then populate that with the same users, you lose all the progress data, because that progress data is stored locally in LearnDash databases. And I haven't found a way to bring that progress over. And we've needed to do that, and there's just no way to do it. So if someone is on lesson 9 of 10 and you force people to take a quiz after each one, they'd have to like retake all the quizzes before they could see the sections of the site they can't see, which is a royal pain. So any questions?
Yeah, I have one. Could you clarify what you mean by when you say you put the content more in Memberium than LearnDash? I'm interpreting that as you can upload lessons to both LearnDash and Memberium.
No, not the lessons. I'd prefer to have, I prefer to use these goals to protect things than the course prerequisites or the lesson progression. So if I have an option that's available both in LearnDash and Memberium, I'd prefer to use the Memberium option.
Okay.
So for example, I can keep people from going to the next lesson using Memberium tagging in Infusionsoft. I can also just turn on course progression. So you have a lot more control from Infusionsoft if you use the Memberium features than in here. And then, by the way, at that point, you can move people from one WordPress install to another one. And since all the data is stored in Infusionsoft as the master database, you can move people around and it doesn't matter what's stored in LearnDash.
So you're saying not to really use LearnDash's features much then? I'm just trying to understand.
These in particular, the ones for course progression and for like auto dripping content.
So, okay, so for progression, you suggest Memberium.
Right, but by the way, the progress indicators are built into LearnDash, and they're so easy to use. They're really hard to replace. But when it comes to opening up and protecting content, Memberium would be my preference.
Okay. Is there a video on how to do that?
I don't have a lesson on that, but just think of it. Each one of these lessons has achieved this goal when you finish. Mm-hmm. So I can tag it when this lesson finishes, and then the subsequent lesson isn't allowed to open up until that same tag is available here.
Okay.
So it's almost like you set up a train track and you don't get the piece of track until you finish the other one. So one applies it, the other one takes advantage of it, and then you just kind of keep stacking it forward.
Okay.
So I mean, like I said before, the strength of this is that there's a lot of features. The weakness is there's a lot of features. So yeah, you can do things several different ways many times.
Okay.
Yeah, Jorge.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Sanjay. How are you?
See, good. I actually got the plugin Grassblade from LMS. Have you heard of them?
You know, I haven't.
I'm gonna just to keep now. Is that when you mentioned Infusionsoft have the data? Does that mean they have the data of their scores and all their progression?
No, just the tags.
Just the tags.
Just the tags. There's no miraculous integration between LearnDash and Infusionsoft, like including, like if they do multiple choice answers, or if they enter a survey answer, your teachers or instructors actually have to go into WordPress to see the answer. That's not stored over in Infusionsoft.
Okay.
So again, LearnDash is self-contained. It's a learning management system. It can work with or without Infusionsoft. Memberium will support it just fine with ActiveCampaign as well. So there's no dependencies on the outside CRMs. So anything else? Cool. Well, that's all I have for this week. I'll publish this video tomorrow, and then I'll also ask you to, kind of rate this presentation, suggestions. So the same questions I asked you last week, 'cause I really appreciate the feedback. It's helpful, especially as we go at launching this as a do-it-yourself program over the summer. Okay. Have a good one, everybody.